Welcome, welcome. There we go. We've got the screen recording going, and this is going to be your introduction to the Project 3, the 1940s and the 1950s. And the first thing I want to say from the jump on this project is that we are increasing the number of shots that we're doing exponentially. So right now, wrapping up the Project 2, the medieval times, you've got the interior and the exterior shot. The 1940s and 50s assignment has got 6 different shots that you're going to be creating from a mid-century modern home and moving your characters through that space. The best way to be able to approach this, I want to show you, is to create yourself a 1920 by 1080 canvas within a new project. So go to File, New, 1920 by 1080, 150 DPI. And then from there, just go ahead, create a new layer. We're going to give it a fill. You can do that fill color, just about any color you want. But after that, you are going to start using your canvas tool here, and you're going to expand that canvas up. So within this, you've got a couple different options. So you've got 6 shots. You can also include camera movement with how this might how the character might move through the space. So I want to give you some examples of that here for previous works that I've done for this assignment. And then we're also going to get in, I'm going to show you some previous student examples to really get you excited about and talk you through just some of the style points that you might want to keep in mind. You've got the full project description up on the D2L, so please do not use this video as your only guide. You also still need to read the content that's in there and all the notes that have been given, as well as the reference videos. But yeah, this is just an overview to get you thinking in the right headspace. So for this one, the way that I like to start it, and this has got 6 shots here, but one of my shots, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is a panning shot. So it takes up 2 different screens. So not all of your images need to be the standard screen size of 1920 by 1080. You can imagine that there might be a zoom that's going to take place within your shot, or that the camera is going to have some kind of tracking with the character as well, or a dolly shot. And your canvas size might change for what your background needs to be. So within this scene, I've got a character. Let's see here. I did draw this character out. There you go. Cool. So I think that'll give you an idea of what the final shot ends up looking like. And this is just my brainstorming for it from the very beginning. So you got this gal that's laying out of her outside of her ultra modern 1950s-esque house, catching some sun. And that's where the shot sequence begins. So she's laying there, she sits up, takes off the glasses. The next shot after that, she stands up, exits the frame, or starts to exit the frame. And then we get an overhead shot of her standing and then diving into the pool. And again, she's exiting the frame. From there, the next shot as she's exiting is her standing up out of the pool, walking over, grabbing a towel, and she's heading into the house. She realizes that the phone has rang. And from the edge, we get to see, after she picks it up, that, something is kind of really scaring her on the phone. She's got to get out of the house quick at this point, and she's in an absolute hurry. So the next shot is from inside, looking from her holding the phone, and then we're going to change the scene. I think there's one more that I ended up doing here, and her running towards the front door, still with the towel on, and getting the heck out of the house. Here's another example of how you can start doing these. So with each one of these, this is a massive canvas size that I'm creating here to be able to plot out how I want my shots to work. And you're not required to add the characters to it at all. You can just do the background shots. But for me, I think this gives you an idea of how these shots would actually be used. So for this one, for my 1950s style home, I wanted to do a Bond villain layer. And for this one, it starts off with a really interesting shot that's sort of an establishing shot of the building. And then all of a sudden you see a finger kind of drop into the water, and then piranhas come up as the camera's moving up, and we get to see, just the shadowy figure walking across with his, holding his cocktail with his pinky, all the way out. So from there, we get a next shot of him walking from the fish tank down the stairs towards the camera and looking out over his beautiful view of the ocean. And that we see behind him as it kind of cuts back, he's still standing over in this direction, that he's got a new Acme style device or missile or something that he's been really excited about coming in the mail. And so as he finally opens this missile up and he starts doing a little dance around it, and he's just absolutely gleeful. So you can see him just cozying up to his big bomb, and then sort of dancing and singing his way around it with jubilation. That shot ended up looking like, let me show you what the finals looked like. This. Yeah. So this one's kind of cool as well because I did do a video where I dropped these into After Effects and actually show how the camera movement works throughout these various shots. And the character isn't animated, but if I wanted to animate him later on, I could certainly do that. And yeah, so there's the establishing shot, starts here, pans up, see him walk away, this is him walking down the stairs and over to the water. And we got another shot that kind of jumps back to inside of his recessed couch, his little conversation space. And yeah, then you got the big bomb, and then him. This is the a weird little Dutch angle shot that's panning over as he moves with the dances around his big missile. But yeah, so this project, it's all about stylization, rough brushes, texture, and you still are going to be thinking about the lighting through these shots. Some of it can get a little tricky, right? So having a big open wide marble floor, carpeted floor, whatever, within this dude's uh evil villain lair, trying to figure out a way to be able to, with the lighting within the shot, give it some interest and give it some motion and some line work, to keep the viewer, so it's not just blank space. Was a little bit tricky. Here's how this one turned out. And there's the sliding angle of him dancing across it without the end. But yeah, so you can imagine the finger floating down, the piranhas coming in, and yeah, it builds a nice shot. So the interesting thing about, and what I want you guys to really focus on with this project, is creating a connected shot sequence. In the past, some students have sort of done a tour of the house, and that's not really what we're looking for. We want it to be a good directed shot sequence where we're clearly moving through the space. I think this will start to make a little bit more sense as we look at some other examples from this. I done another one. Here they all are. So this is a family taking a trip to a cabin at a lake. And the shot sequence is pretty easy to understand. They're exiting the car. You can see where the windows are at within the shot in the top left-hand side. Camera cuts, they come up the stairs, they're entering into the cabin. And then from there, we get inside the windows as they enter into the space, drop their luggage down. I think I imagine like the dad of the family plopping down on the couch, and then you've got the kitchen area back here, where him and his wife are kind of having a conversation from across the room with one another. But yeah, it's a nice linear shot sequence. And you can see that I'm still have got a sense of lighting in here and depth, but and I'm choosing where to put my details within this shot. So this is a really, really interesting exploration of that 1940s and 50s animated background style, to where, yes, it is stylized. That's why there's 6 shots for this, so it doesn't take quite as long to be able to render this stuff. But at the same time, you really need to be studying reference images from animation backgrounds to get an idea of what kind of rendering techniques they were using. There's still shadow, there's still form, there's still depth. So all the things that we've been talking about in these previous paintings still apply. They're just sort of removing them down to their base features. All right, let's take a look at some student examples and what people have created previously. So I've seen some really, really awesome assignments from this in the past. where people have just knocked it out of the park. So this one was really, really beautifully done. Great color space here with this assignment. Um, there's a couple different examples out there. You can look at like the UPA animated studio where they did this sort of offset printing lines that happens where the underside of the couch and the line work that's on there doesn't quite match up, and it creates a very much an indicator of the period. You can see that we're letting some of the background elements fade away and just turn into shape language. And yeah, really, really smart. There's still a good sense of perspective. Everything feels placed. The perspective is accurate in these, even though it's very stylized, and there's still lighting um, that is functioning within this these animated backgrounds as well. All right, the rest are going to be PDFs. This was another really interesting one. So I had a student who wanted to do sort of a retired. No, his plan for this was it was supposed to be like Wile E. Coyote retired, and he was like still had his room full of like props to try and catch the Roadrunner from years ago, like kind of hidden and stowed away behind a secret door in the space. But you can see that this student used a really nice limited palette. But even though it's a limited palette and simplified drawings, there's still a great attention to detail with every choice that they're making here. So even though it's stylized, you still need to make these drawings feel like they are polished and finished and that the perspective is still working correctly in them. Really, really unique space. And there's the all the different Acme guns and stuff like that. And there's the shots together. Oh, that's another good thing to think about for this project as well, is that you don't have to do just full-on room establishing shots. You've got 6 shots. So let's say you wanted your character to be, you know, I don't know, coming in from the backyard, going into the kitchen, and then while they're in the kitchen, they're bringing in something from the grill and they're going to cut it up or they're going to, prep it for the plates. You could do a close-up shot or an alternative angle of them, with the cutting board and actually cutting all the items that they're going to prepare and get plated. So they don't all have to be just full establishing shots of the room. You can do close-up shots and thinking about how you're telling the story here. All right, here's another strong example from a student. Definitely, while you're thinking and looking through your reference images for these, it's okay to use photographs, but please, 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 again, try to use animated background references from this time period, the 1940s and 50s. Can do a little bit into the mid 60s, but we're really not looking for the 1980s or 70s. And there's distinct furniture pieces that are associated with this time and this era. Thought this was really nice how they handled the paintings on the wall there. Really cool shapes for the desk chair that's in this shot. Yeah, overall, really well done. Take notice. You're going to need to decorate your walls with something. They also really loved patterns on all types of things back in the day, and curtains on every window. So that's something you might want to think about doing within your project. Here's another example. Green carpets, pink carpets. If you didn't end up going into the restroom area or the bathroom in the house, they've got the pink tubs, the blue tile, all that good stuff is definitely part of this period. But yeah, this is a nice polished sequence of shots that are stylistically consistent. So they've got a set of rules that they're working with and within here, and it all comes together really, really well. This is a cool one. I've seen students in the past take this project and then for later animate 2D animation courses, actually animate a character to the scene, and it can turn out really, really successful. So this one was it's taking a second to load. Let's go. It's downloading from my Dropbox. Here we go. Yeah, so this one, sort of blends strong flat colors with heavy texture on the couch and the sofa. And this was taken from a from some Bugs Bunny cartoon back in the day. And yeah, really interesting, almost like half finished drawings, but the parts that are completed um, work really well. Like I think the kitchen shot is really neat how they went through and did this where it's almost like just the shadows are getting a color. Yeah, he needed to finish the outside. The plan for this one was it was going to be a blight home in a big city, but the end of it got away from him. So please, make sure that you are budgeting your time for how you're working on these. We're going to have 3 weeks to be able to get through this project. It is 6 shots. This one, really, really lovely painting. I would say that this still exists within the 1940s and 50s style, but really amazing soft color palette. And just feels almost like watercolor. The brushwork in here is really, really nice and expressive. Just a really strong series moving through the interior of a home. So it helps to get some kind of narrative in there. Why is your character moving through? So often I've seen students that, oh, the character is just getting out of bed and they're getting ready in the morning, and that's their excuse to run through the house. I think you guys are creative. You can come up with another reason for why the character might be interacting in the home. Or, like you've seen with two of the other examples, one is in a James Bond villain lair to get that 1940s and 50s look within the home. And then another one ended up being within that same style, but a family taking a vacation to the lake. So we're looking for some type of home with a modern feel and a consistent shot sequence that feels connected. So one shot leads to the other, and we can get a real idea of the space. If it's just sort of like a Zillow photos of a home, here's the bathroom, here's the bedroom, here's the hallway, here's the kitchen. Those don't really feel that connected, and we really want to imagine how they're moving the character through the shot. And this is one of my favorite ones. I think the student knocked it out of the park on this one. So this exterior shot is really, really strong, and it's rendered beautifully with the metals, with the way that they're handling the grass and the flowers in the field, the back fence. You're going to probably some of y'all will end up doing a picket fence within the backyard. Um, it's handled really, really well. It's got some good texture on it, nice non-traditional values. And then it's still got the atmospheric perspective. And they set this one in the desert with the cactuses. I thought that was a unique and clever touch. They dropped in real items within the pantry, which I thought was a unique choice. And this student did end up going through and actually animating characters within these shots. This one's really, really nice here. If you're going to do a kitchen, the black and white tile floor is not the best choice. It creates way too much contrast within a shot. I would say do not do a black and white tile floor. It's a little bit too obvious, and there's other options out there that you can choose, and it's going to give you more trouble than you want it to. This is also rendered really, really nicely here with the staircase and the way the blue lighting is working and the reflectivity on the lacquered wood floors. Here's another cool one. This one's going with a limited color palette. So we've got oranges, tans, purples, and pinks, and really, really polished, beautiful series of images that does feel like you are absolutely moving through the space. Getting a little closer here so you can really see them. Staircase is well handled. It's nice. I like that. Between this shot, we're seeing the lamp here. And then in the second shot, we can see the lamp also. So we get an idea that we're looking at this from two different directions. Love the way that they handled the glass, the reflection from the sunset, and in the interior of the home to again give you a sense of place and where this is occurring at. Really great shot going down the staircase here. Just really tight drawings. Gosh, they just kept going. The kitchen, yeah, gets a little bit funky here, but this was a really, really ambitious shot sequence that the student tried. And I think that overall it turned out really, really successful, and it's a really nice example for this project. This one's pretty cool. They use the print dots within the background. It's got thicker lines on it. My personal taste is that they look better with the thinner lines, but overall, this is still a really consistent style and does move you through the space pretty nicely with the use of purple and the rhythm. So kind of waking up in the bed, getting out the doorway so we can see the doorway, the other side of the doorway, a little bit of the interior because we're using that trash can to move the viewer's eyes or connect the viewer's eyes through the hallway. Heading down the stairs, got the windows that are leading our direction. You got the stairs over here. You can see into the kitchen. And yeah, it's a nice shot sequence there with some really interesting and innovative uses of texture. And I thought this project turned out pretty strong as well. So you've got some options for what it is that you're able to create here. I hope this gets you excited and gets you thinking about the style and the design from mid-century modern. There's all kinds of cool ways that you can go about this. And yeah, can't wait to see what it is you end up making.